and welcome to the Glacially Musical Pouredcast and Video Lounge. Of course, it is beer, metal, and swearing. I am Nik Cameron of Glacially Musical, joined by my wonderful co-host, the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, as he put it himself, the human thirst trap, Keefy Charisma. How we doing today, buddy?
What's up, brother? I'm gonna give you the double horns for that intro.
Alrighty, I'm gonna drop my beer check first because it's been a long day.
You go right
So
ahead.
I am rocking a Second Shift Brewing Technical Ecstasy, which is a Czech style Pilsner.
We like the Czechs and we like the Pilsners.
A hard body Czech is the best thing in a hockey game.
Yo, facts.
Did you see that cool pour? I was like
That
pouring
was
6 inches.
really good, like a one shot
No, I mean you
thing.
see me like doing this thing with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
watching. I have both Nik and I have completely brand new setups for the first time ever at the exact precise time. Nik has moved into his new abode. Congratulations, Nicholas and family.
Oh my god, it
He's
was awful last week. I was on vacation and could not wait to get back to the office. It was so much better.
That's crazy. But your room looks amazing. You are in the music room, in the music lounge
Uh,
at Casa de
I'm
Cameron.
I'm actually now calling it the spinning room. It was the sitting room, but I've decided to like get edgy with it, so it's the spinning room.
It's a little window crawl space that you could stick a dead body in over the top of that thing.
No, this room has two doors, a door on either side.
Mm,
And I figure I don't need two doors, but I do need somewhere to stick all this business.
yeah.
You may notice all this business. You at home are not seeing the entirety of it. And there's actually going to be more on the other side. I actually got a great story about that before we get to the vinyl check this week.
I have to do my
Uh,
beer check, but you go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. No, do the beer check.
No, I mean, like I called to attention that you have a whole new room. I have a new angle and setup, so you folks watching at home will see me look off to my screen on the side at times to see Nicholas. And Nicholas and I, we feed off each other's reactions. That's what I think makes this a fun thing. And yeah, so this is the same HQ room. I have had been doing this for, doing these things for a long while, but now I have a new angle and I'm using a better camera setup. So hopefully this will make me look about 10% better than possible.
Now, like as Keefe put it, I am in my new home. We moved in last week, and one of the things about records and me, and this is actually going to set up my vinyl check perfectly, but I won't do that right away. Um, my father-in-law was a big vinyl guy. He had a huge number of records when he lived in Little Rock, Arkansas, that were stolen, and he bought quite a few more when he moved back to St. Louis, Missouri. He was a big fan of big band and jazz and all that kind of stuff. And I know I've talked about my late father-in-law quite a bit on these shows, but he was a big part of my life. And I asked him, God, forever ago, when I couldn't really afford to buy records very often, I'm like, can I borrow? You have Janis Joplin Greatest Hits, don't you? He's like, yeah, I got that. Okay, can I borrow it? And he says, no, I don't know if you'll treat it well. So I don't want to lend it to you. What really was the truth, as we pieced together after his passing, was he didn't know where it was. So we had we sold, we had the estate sale. We cleaned out the house of everything we wanted as a family that we were taking, and no records. We couldn't find them. My wife specifically remembered albums: Michael Jackson Thriller, The Carpenters Christmas, Chicago something. It's got a brown cover. We couldn't find any of them. No Janis, no Cream, no nothing. And as the day after the day of the move, she was over at the house where my in-laws' old house where he lived, trying, getting some stuff taken care of. And I get a frantic text that says, oh my God, I found them. Get over here now. 3 giant boxes of records. And my vinyl check is actually going to come out. Most of my vinyl check's coming out of that box.
Do we get a total on that number of records officially or not
No,
yet?
we did go through on Saturday night. We were in the spinning room listening to music because I didn't actually have the television set up in the house until yesterday. and it's not done. I still got to get the stereo hooked up to it. I mean, this is the only room that is as close to this as possible. Everything's a work in progress still, because we moved less than 5 days ago. But we went through every box and I pulled out every single record, and we had a wonderful time going through them, listened to a couple. It was a great night.
That is fantastic, sir. I see a bunch of Funkos. I see a lava lamp. I see guitar picks. I see a lot of Metallica vinyl. I thought you said you were going to do an array of your Floyds, but I guess not yet.
I haven't done that yet. And the Funko, the thing that about that, I was going to do an array of a lineup of all my copies of Pink Floyd, The Wall, Roger Waters, The Wall, and The Wall Redux. That's my favorite record. I was going to put them all up. However, in the meantime, between the time of hatching that plan and now, we purchased about 20 Funko Pops. That is the real number.
That is where they go.
And they're all right there.
Unboxed and everything. I like it. Like you actually touch
I
them.
unbox everything. I don't. Boxes are for suckers. They're for chumps. But on the front row, I've got Evil Spock. I've got the Tick. I've got Jerry the King Lawler.
What makes Evil Spock? With a beard?
Mirror Spock.
Mirror Spock. Hell yeah. I have a Spock also. It's out of reach right now, but it's Spock with the cat.
I also got, excuse me, I almost ripped the headphones off my head. I also picked up the Gorn yesterday.
Yo, you have the Gorn.
You can see him. He's right. I got the Gorn and I got Podcast from Ghostbusters. So.
Oh, nice. I love that kid. I love Gorn. Dude, I love Gorn and the Gorn episode.
Same.
The Trial, I think it's called, is Arena. Sorry. That music, that whole episode, Shatner's overacting, Gorn himself, fantastic job. Favorite
they brought
episode.
The Gorn back in Enterprise as a fully CG character that looked like Jar. It was like looking at Jar Jar Binks if you were a little drunk.
It was a failure. It was an abject failure. But I love TNG. I'm a fan.
Same. But give me your beer check. We haven't gotten a beer check.
Beard up. Nothing special this week. Just another Fort Point KSA light and crisp Kolsch style ale is my favorite type of beer. This is arguably my favorite San Francisco area beer. They just opened a tap room not far from my house. When time and money allows, I'm going to go hit it up. It's on the corridor where Metallica had their block party. Too bad it wasn't open in time for that. That would have been cool. Of course, by the time I got to the block party, it was pretty much dissipated, but I don't know how that sounds. I'm facing away from the microphone is now officially kind of a little behind me, but hopefully
you can see mine now.
Hopefully I'm well heard. I may have to move. I have two microphones. There's this deity over the shoulder of Alice Cooper's Funko in the box, and then there's my fine podcast mic. Any of these mics are available on our Amazons. But cheers and beers.
Cheers. For my vinyl check this week, I have 3 albums I pulled out of the boxes. The first one is Cream, Disraeli Gears.
Amazing.
If you don't like that record, you don't like music.
Can I like Cream and not like Eric Clapton anymore?
Oh, yeah, you can totally hate Eric Clapton. It's all about Jack Bruce.
Ginger is also amazing.
Correct.
I once challenged the director of the Beware of Mr. Baker documentary to a fist fight because he disparaged John Bonham in my presence. But I agree that Ginger is incredible.
And we also have
great one.
Her, in my opinion, her finest hour.
Word. I'm a bit of a Big Brother and a Holding Company person, but that was she felt her best on that one in terms
I'm now only missing the first Big Brother record, and I've got all of her work.
That's crazy.
And listened to this the other day, and
still one of the biggest selling records ever. I think Eddie Van Halen was trending on Twitter today, and for whatever reason, it was like the Thriller video along with his hashtag, which is a great music video, and his solo is great. A lot of people think
he's in Beat It.
Did I say Thriller? I'm sorry, I meant Beat It. And the album is Thriller. Not the Thriller song. He only contributed the solo to uh, Beat It. What people don't know is that Steve Lukather is actually playing the guitar riffs, which were not written either by any of them, that were written by Ted Templeman, the producer. But
Interesting.
incredible guitar solo. Luke also, apparently somewhere out there is a scratch solo that Luke did. Certainly would not have been Van Halen's choice of solo, because two-hand tapping and, neoclassicism, that Luke is a different kind of guy. But I'd love to hear the Lukather
I
Beat It
would. I would as
one
well.
take someday.
I have one last one to show off this week. This one came in the mail. This is the last record that was shipped to my old house.
Oh, what is? I didn't quite catch that. What is
It
that?
is The Maximalist by
Okay,
Megafauna.
let's
They,
let's do a thing for our podcast listeners where we announce what the records are as we
oh, yeah,
hold
yeah,
them
yeah.
up,
Totally.
because our
Totally
podcast
right.
people cannot watch this video extravaganza.
Megafauna is a modern rock band, and I mean that like literally, not euphemistically, from Austin, Texas. The singer is a lady. She is an amazing singer, but she is an even better guitarist. And this is a guitar, hard rock guitar record. She shreds all over it. And her name is Danny Neff. I actually interviewed her on Glacially Musical a number of years ago. This album came out in 2014, and it is a spectacular, spectacular record. Finally got a copy of it on vinyl.
Word.
But
I'm not familiar, but I'm going to try to get acquainted, as I like to say. And I might even go back and check out that pod interview. I was a fan of your interviews before we were even friends.
it wasn't a
So,
pod interview. It was a print
oh,
interview.
just a written?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
long time ago.
On the blog, perhaps.
Yes. But what are we more
I am,
chit chat now?
yeah, I'm eschewing my vinyl check. Um, I'm going to eschew my vinyl check because we're going to unbox vinyl and listen to one on this episode, like in real time for the first time ever, which is insane. Um, but also to say that I also have several cool vinyl things to reveal in our next episode. And, I'm just trying to think. Obviously, I hate to bake frownies right into the beginning of the episode, but, we have to discuss that Taylor Hawkins passed away. We have to. He's
Agreed.
very sad, and very, very unfortunate the way media and fans have reacted. Um,
As it
and
always is. And
hell, yeah, he is an incredible guy. He is an incredible drummer. He's a great singer, a great singer. Um, kind of Grohl's musical soulmate in Foo Fighters. Not the original Foo Fighters founding drummer, but basically the third guy after Grohl and William Goldsmith, formerly of Sunny Day Real Estate.
mm-hmm.
And he came in. And the funny story about him is that Grohl didn't think Taylor would leave Alanis Morissette's band to go be in Foo Fighters, and he was like, "No, I want to be part of a band that and contribute as a writer and a performer, and not just be a side guy," which is what he felt like he was gonna be in Alanis Morissette's band, and she's
I,
great. Like, it's not about her, but
I believe Taylor was in the band at the time when her band basically, it was going to be the follow up to Jagged Little Pill. They basically wrote an entire record on tour, and they had been playing some of the songs, and they recorded none of them.
yikes. Um,
So yeah, I can believe that Taylor, and I mean, he obviously made the right choice, and the Foo Fighters became probably the biggest rock band in the last 50
today,
years.
yeah, today, and
Not 50.
yeah, well, I would say at least 15 or 20. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. Guy was wonderful. Other bands sang lead in Chevy Metal. Um, Sometimes jumped on the drums. Also, sang lead at Foo Fighters shows. Actually, I saw Foo Fighters last fall at Bottle Rock Napa here in California. And as usual, Grohl will jump on the drums and Taylor will sing. I think Taylor was the drummer of Chevy Metal, but sometimes he would come out and sing like "Under Pressure" by Bowie. He had an incredible
Ooh.
voice. He had his own solo band, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, that have released a few albums. He had a few other projects he was working on. and he played on a Coheed and Cambria record, one of their best.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
played
that.
came in and played like progressive metal drums for them on one of their best records, and the Good Apollo record that everybody jizzes
Oh,
over. Yeah, the record for that
yeah,
band.
yeah.
He's the drummer on it, and he might have even toured with them a little because it
Oh,
was a
that was when I forget the drummer. I forget his real name, but his rap name is Weird Science. Was out touring with MC Lars.
so yeah. What a loss for music. That's the main thing. It's not about how he went out. It's not about what drugs were in the system or the preliminary reports or his past history with substances. That's just bullshit and doesn't matter. A wonderful guy, a husband, a father, a friend, a brother has passed away. He was a legend in rock and roll. And the world's a little less bright without him. I don't know. I don't think the band is going to quit. They're probably going to have to find someone else. They're not going to be able to find another him, but they're going to find someone. I They canceled all their upcoming shows and festivals today. I don't know
As
when they're going to,
expected.
as expected. I don't know when they're going to come back. If they will. I don't think they're going to break. Dave Grohl has said frequently, "I can't do anything else. I'm unqualified to do anything but make music and entertain people." So I don't see him retiring from music and dismantling the band, even though Taylor is almost an irreplaceable guy. But I just think they're going to take time off, maybe the whole year, the rest of the year, and maybe recoup, sort of give it another go in the future. And there's no rule book for death and grieving, so whatever time they
That's
need, take the time. But this is a dude who felt like the last couple of years when they weren't playing a lot, it was like a part of him died. So I really don't see Grohl quitting and not coming back as a result of this. Like he's gonna be, it's rough, and he's had loss in his life. So this is terrible times 10. So just rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins, and manage your emotions and feelings, fans. When band these things happen, don't. Does it really matter if he overdosed or he just had a heart attack? Like, does it really matter? He's gone. That's what
one of the things I
matters.
think your general fan of anything doesn't realize is that these are legitimate people. They they are people with the same rights and expectations as you or I. So just try to remember that we are literally talking about a human being. We are literally talking about somebody who is deeply missed by a lot of people who aren't fans right now.
Yeah.
So,
I'm never good. Thank you, Nicholas. That was very well said. I am never gonna forget that I saw this guy come out from behind the drums and sing my favorite Queen song and absolutely murder it in the best way. And he sang "Somebody to Love," and I'm never
ooh,
gonna get to hear that again. And he crushed it. And actually, he was like as quippy and jokey as Grohl. He was like, Dave Grohl is the best drummer in the world at one thing, the drum fills, right? He was like a certain kind of drum fill. Dave Grohl is the best in the world, and the main song in the whole world that has this kind of drum fill is Queen's "Somebody to Love." That big, that big
right.
ending and those big between the choruses drums, the boom 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 boom, 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 the Roger Taylor grandiose, you know, all across the kit drum roll. So
Not
what a shame.
not to change the subject too much.
Let's turn
Actually,
that
no,
frown
I'm
upside
lying.
down.
It's to completely change the subject. This is my link. Hopefully, I am not too awkward. I'm not sitting in a chair like I'm used to. I'm sitting in a just a regular chair in the middle of the sitting room. I had no idea how I was going to do this, but since now we're doing video, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have the wall behind me because that seems cool. But let's switch gears a little bit and get
Yes.
on to today's topic.
Woohoo!
Obviously, anybody who's looked at anything knows what we're talking about. But we both, now mine arrived yesterday. Keefy's arrived today.
Just
We
just a few hours ago.
we agreed to do a series on these and not open them until we were on the Zoom call. And when I made this deal, it sounds so magnanimous. Mine got here first and I waited. No, I planned it differently because in my head, Metallica was shipping them from San Francisco. What
Yeah.
really happened was Metallica shipped them from Michigan. So I expected Keith.
Ferndale.
Yes,
Ferndale. Any Michiganders out there know where Ferndale is?
I
Michigan's a
expected that.
ginormous state, so who knows?
Yes, I expected that Keefy was going to have to be the one to wait for mine to arrive.
I had to open it to be sure 100% because I have a lot of stuff coming in, and
I don't blame you.
some stuff has been sent back to sender, believe it or not, because labels were printed wrong,
I
and
did.
I'll
I did
complain about
this.
that tomorrow.
I
Yeah, I
slipped.
did. I cut mine at the top
I
just to
didn't
make
cut
sure.
yet. I just popped in. So Keefy's got a better camera than me. So I am going to allow Keefy the honors for in perpetuity, because theoretically we're going to be doing these episodes every 3 months for the next forever.
Hopefully. So this is Metallica's Vinyl Club for 2022. I have a couple of vinyl subscriptions, including Gimme Metal, and those come pretty frequently. I probably could have skipped a few months. The last few months, the selections have been all right, but not mind blowing like some others. But this is, Nick and I both we collaborated on the choice. Like, we should do the Vinyl Club and then do them as part of the podcast. So I think this is really cool. No, we don't need to, foist more praise on Metallica, but let's see how they
Maybe
do.
we won't.
If small independent boutique labels like Magnetic Eye and the Flenser can do these, and Gilead Media can do these artful, interesting, value laden vinyl clubs, let's see what the biggest band in the world can do. It wasn't that much money. I understand that maybe we'll debate the merits of the value of each one. Was this worth the money? But I think this is really cool. I'm really excited. I love
Here's what I will
Metallica. I'm so
say
stoked.
about the club was $100. I bought the second most expensive level, which the only levels are shipping. Do you want to wait to have all of them shipped at once? Do you want UPS media mail, or do you want UPS? So I chose the second highest level of shipping, which is 4 shipments on UPS media mail. That's why the price is a little bit higher. I was pissed off actually, and walked away. I walked away from my cart because it had a shipping charge on that. I thought that was horseshit. I on a subscription service, there shouldn't be an extra shipping fee. I'm
It
sorry.
should be baked in.
It should be baked
baked
in.
in as I fix
But
my life.
I bought it. Part of the reason why I jumped this year over last year was this year they switched to 12-inch releases, not 7-inch releases, because I don't have a whole lot of 7-inch releases and I don't care for them to speak of, really.
I never asked you about your turntables. I'm futzing with my light, and so forgive me, folks. Um, I never asked you. Does your turntable automatically switch between speeds, or do you have to manually?
There's automatic ones that
I
do
don't know.
that.
That's what I've been told.
Mine doesn't change. No, I got to change it. So I've listened
And
to a lot of doom metal at the wrong speed.
you didn't even know.
Half the time, no, you can't tell because it's either so slow that you're losing 8% of this. Anyway, so I'm just gonna rip this thing open and I'm gonna
You
let
open yours, and
Keefy
I'm gonna show mine.
let Keefy take care of his.
Show me yours, and I'll show you mine. Hey, looks like there's no receipt in there. It's just a vinyl in a box. Very cool. I
Proof
did the same
positive
thing.
that I waited to open it up. Here is
I believe you, and now I feel horribly guilty.
you should.
So this is the second ever year Metallica has done a sub. Now I do have a top light on my camera, so hopefully folks will appreciate and see. This is the front cover. It does look very similar to And Justice for All on purpose. Logo, color, and the font, and even the background looks like the And Justice for All Statue of Liberty, the Broken Justice. Mine says
Oh,
on the back they're numbered.
did you see the picture in the iPad?
The what are you asking? Yes, so yeah, it's an iPad. Yeah, so the front cover is an iPad with the Zoom basically sign in pictures for
Right.
James, Lars, Kirk, and
But what's
Robert.
the background photo?
Like I said, Justice for All, Lady Justice.
Yeah, but as a human, not as
Yeah,
a
it's a
statue.
there's a model. They use the
Yeah,
model. So yeah,
I
so
just
like the
noticed that.
background looks like the album cover, and then this is an actual human representation. Nick is very excited. I'm really excited that these are numbered. So if you look on the back cover, mine says edition number 5, and I have number 2,786 of who knows what.
2,786.
You have.
6,570.
That's funny because I thought you ordered yours first
I did order
before I
mine
did.
first. I'm thinking that I'm thinking they held this to the very low limited edition pressing of 100,000.
I don't know. It's five. Is it seven places? Six places.
Six
So,
places.
so I think the most this could be is I don't think they're doing 100,000. I
The
think that's
most it
probably
could
too
be
much.
is 999,999.
Yeah, that's probably unlikely, but I'm not against it, and I'm just trying to open this guy correctly without damaging the vinyl. So bear with me. I typically have these opened. They're ready. Now, when you get a new vinyl, a brand new vinyl, it's never been opened, a not used one. What do you do? Do you just rip the plastic off immediately? What do you do?
Oh yeah. I do this here. I just get it on the top. Are you watching?
I am.
And I just rip it. Put
You
my
just
finger
rip it.
in there.
You just rip it. I feel like if I can't do this, I don't deserve to be a man. Um, it's a battle of wills. I saw a really good technique on the internet. I'll have to double back and do it again. So we fully pulling it out of the plastic? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Oh my.
All
Oh
right.
my.
Nick
There's a
has
little
his out.
surprise.
Nick has his out. Let's see. I'll get mine out. So it comes in a. Oh, what happened there? I dropped something. I think that's the download card.
Check this out. Check it out. Check it out.
Oh, it came with a little
Give me the slip mat.
slip mat. How do you feel about foam slip mats, Nicholas?
I use an acrylic slip mat. Period.
And
So I will
no,
not be
no other
using it.
felt or foam on top.
Correct.
It does come with a download card. I will not
Yes.
show my code because I don't want you to steal it.
Mine is in there somewhere. Okay, so it came with an outer inner sleeve.
An outer inner sleeve with the pictures from the Zoom where they recorded this or at least live streamed it.
Right, it's pretty cool.
So we'll talk about the tracks in a second before we go listen to them. Is this what's in here?
There is on the back side. There is some text. I will read it.
Go ahead.
James had an idea. It kind of came out of nowhere. We were knocking on the door of the pandemic. Had been somewhat inactive as a band for 6 to 9 months, and had just started connecting again via Zoom. James suggested we take a Metallica song, give it a once-over reworking, and just kind of throw it out there to the world without any fuss or fanfare. An additional dare was that we would pass the song from one band member to another with no one knowing which track was coming. This was obviously a fresh approach, an exciting approach, and a very apropos approach considering the state of the world in April 2020. As you may know by now, taking a Metallica song, stripping it completely down to its bones, and reimagining it as one of our very fave guilty pleasures. And this version of Blackened will forever be tied to an awkward and particularly uncertain moment in time. We found that having music to fall back on in those instances provides an incredible sense of comfort and well-being.
Beautifully said, Lars. Always verbose with the words. These are black vinyls, no custom colors.
Yeah, I don't think that was even an option.
I love the old school Metallica font.
Mm-hmm. These are 45 RPM, I believe.
How do you feel about how's your how do you actually I thought they were supposed to how do you feel about it's like a very strange cut on this guy on the outer edge. It doesn't matter, it doesn't affect the playing, but I feel like this is
which one
not the best job on the edge. Even like very inconsistent.
In the dead wax or the inside?
The dead. It's not smooth. There's like little chunks missing out of it. This may be a shitty copy. I hope not when I play it.
Let me see. I am going around the edge with mine. No, that's fine. Mine's fine. Well, there's one little chunk missing.
Right? I mean, it shouldn't affect the play, but
no, it totally won't.
Yeah, but then again, Metallica is pressing these on a level, at a number in their own plant, so there might be inconsistencies in a small. When I say small batch, a small batch for Metallica.
Right.
So this looks gorgeous, though. I'm ready to go. I'm stoked. Nick, do you want to discuss the track, just the track listing before we?
Yeah, the track listing. This is called Blackened 2020.
Right.
So it's got 2 editions of Blackened, two versions. So Jason Newsted's going to get a couple of bucks for every one of these
Mm.
sold, which is
I
good for
think that's
him.
one of his few Metallica songwriting credits, actually.
I think he only has about 3, if even that
Mm.
many. He's got this. Yeah, he's got one on the Black album,
My Friend of Misery.
I believe so, for the bass solo, and Where the Wild Things Are on Reload, and I believe that is it.
Unreal.
So it's got
But yes,
Blackened 2020 and then Blackened 2020 live.
so I'm gonna say that I believe that 2020 live can only be from 2 places or 3 places tops. I have to go look at the liner notes. They performed it on a live stream on Howard Stern. They performed it at their live stream Salesforce sponsored concert in September or no, I'm sorry, in November of 2020. Forgive me. And then they did it a third time at like their acoustic benefit concert.
Number 3.
Is that the one?
That is the one.
Okay.
The
So there's the
first
home
one,
version. The first version's the home official recording that they did.
right? This is technically studio, so apparently they each just recorded a chunk of it and put it together that way. Then there's one more song on here.
Indeed, there is. What is that song?
So it's the third track, which I believe is unprecedented in the Metallica Vinyl Club and the previous 4. It is Wood by Alice in Chains.
Now, I don't remember them covering this. I know that James has come out on stage and sang a cover of Wood with Alice in Chains. Not well, but then again, who can sing like Lane and Jerry? Very few. As you know, Lane was a close friend to Lars and James, and Death Magnetic is dedicated to Lane Staley, and the entire record is somewhat about him. Moth to Flame is kind of about Lane Staley
Mm-hmm.
and James's recovery and the fact that he's somehow still here and some of his friends are gone. So I'm really excited to listen to this. I do, as you know, I'm a massive Alice in Chains fan. So any cover of Alice in Chains is welcome, even if it's, we'll see how they do. And yeah, very interested to see and hear
I
all the
do like the
things.
way they've chosen the tracks. I do wish it. I'm a little disappointed that it is 2 versions of the same song.
You had feared this, actually. We were kicking this idea around on a previous pod when we announced that we were going to do this months and months ago, perhaps during the Metallica series or right after it.
Oh, it was much later. It was much
Okay.
later. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, with
they
the
shouldn't really double up the versions. It's a kind of jip. They have so much stuff they could have put on here.
but they
I'm not
also added
complaining.
an Alice in Chains song to go
The
with it.
a cover, good, bad, or
So
indifferent, just in terms of the quality. Listen, I didn't know if we were going to get one song and one song. It's a 12-inch single. Doesn't mean we are entitled to more than one song. We could have got one song and an etching. Anything is possible. So
what
I'm not against these.
I was expecting these to be about 9 to 10 minutes per side. I was expect now the first this one seems very apropos to because Metallica's always been a kind of a sentimental band. They are always very conscious of their history, very conscious of their personal history. So as we are now hopefully for the second time coming out of the pandemic again, they are and Metallica's playing shows again and touring again. So it would make sense that for the first one, they are going back to what they did during the pandemic. Um, I would also kind of hazard a guess the next one is going to feature something from the live concerts they streamed.
That makes sense. They also, yeah, they did that big production. We'll call
Mm-hmm.
it the parking lot concert with no one in it,
Mm-hmm.
just the crew and the band. That is a thing
Yeah,
we
it's
could get.
probably something from that.
I would not be so. They did all this Black Album stuff, so I think it's entirely possible we're going to get some Black Album live cuts from the times they've performed them in the last
Probably
year and a
something
half.
like My Friend of Misery or The
So
God
a
That
deep
Failed.
cut, struggle within a deep cut, not the hits. That would be. I hope not. I would love to get "Don't Tread on Me" or
I would not love to get that.
really.
I hate that
Okay.
song.
Really? That's
I
so
don't like the
strange.
Black Album.
Yeah, you don't. But anyway, good call on that. You were probably right. We're probably going to get something along those lines.
That's what Metallica
Um,
does. Is they do.
uh,
You know what? I'm going to use this slip mat
in a,
as my mouse pad.
it would make a very good mouse pad. I'm gonna say that I think, test that theory out in a second. I'm gonna say that I think, just again, haven't heard it yet, but I'm gonna say that I think that this is a good start, having not heard them yet. This is a good start to the series. What we are getting a new version of a old school classic song, or I don't think of Blackened. The first song on the album is never a deep cut because everyone has presumably heard it. So,
It's a deeper cut than one, and a deeper cut than say Harvester of Sorrow. This is something only really played on one or two tours consistently.
that
So no, I would
that's
call
well, they
this
always did it in the medley, the ride medley, kill ride,
right. I would
and
call this
justice medley.
a deep cut because
And
it's
and it's
something
a new version of an old song, and it's a really the first Metallica recording that's an actual recording for consumption since uh Hardwired. So I
correct.
think
So
that that
6
is
years.
really first new Metallica track released in 6 years, which is really great.
We didn't talk about Wood. If there's any information on that, and
We didn't tell you, tell me. I don't have my glasses, so I can't.
This is a original release by Metallica on the Mopop Founders Award honoring
Okay,
Alice in Chains,
so
a
this is the
benefit for the
song.
museum.
This is the song they did for the Alice in Chains star-studded,
Mhm.
superstar-studded Mopop Founders Award, which was a year and a half ago. Mastodon is on there. There are all kinds of bands who are not metal and rock bands paying tribute to them. Mark Lanigan, rest in peace, was on there. Lots and lots of people. Metallica did a cover of Wood. I think
And
someone else
this
did a
was
cover of Wood.
also assembled via Zoom. So the main string on this is all of these songs were written and recorded via Zoom
Right. For a band that's used to jamming in a room and coming in with
until they find it.
ideas
Yeah.
until they find the thing, that's pretty cool. Again, it'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting to see where the next Metallica album goes and what it sounds like, because invariably part of it could not have been crafted any other way except over file sharing, ironically, and Zoom and things.
Correct. And I am going to tell you, I am antsy as hell. So right now we're going to take our break. I'll see you in 20 minutes because I'm going to take out some garbage too. I'm going to listen to this, take out the trash. I'll be right back.
Okay, then.
Okay. And we are now officially back. For those of you listening to this on the podcast, I apologize for the 30 to 45 seconds of silence. You needed to watch the YouTube video to get the full effect of us making metal faces and throwing up the horns while bobbing our heads. I do recommend it. It's worth no one's time.
It's not a
But
mistake. Hopefully, we didn't lose everybody at this point.
so we just finished listening to the Metallica Blackened 2020. And I will point out for everyone on YouTube, I did get my anti-static inner sleeve ready to go. I did make a little bit of an etiquette fail. I did not clean the record before putting it on,
It was
so
pretty. Yeah. Also, I bled out. Give it a big blow, but it was
it was a little
a
dusty,
little dusty,
frankly.
and like I said, a little surprised that Metallica's vinyl doesn't come with the Mylar. But they should know better.
Yeah, they should. They should. They should. It did come with a slip mat, though.
That is fucking cool, and they supposedly that is in line with Metallica merch. Like they will their fan club stuff, their fan cans back in the day. They do strive to give you extra. I was not promised a slip mat, whether I use it or not.
Mm-mm.
Um, I think at
No,
the very
that's really cool.
I do have a bit of, like I said, a concern. I have filtration to air in my apartment, so I'm always worried about extra dust, not just dust, but
Yeah, I hear you.
extra dust. So like
I
I have like a little felty mat on my acrylic turntable that I keep before I put a record on it.
see my turntable has a cover, so I don't need that.
I do too, but
Just in case anybody questions, do not use a felty mat on your turntable.
right.
They cause extra static, and the static is where you get 80 to 90% of the pops and buzzes.
Hmm.
So just keep that in mind. So let's discuss the music a little bit. First, before we get to the actual songs, what did you think of the quality of the pressing?
I thought it was pretty good. I was a little concerned there with the shape that my vinyl is in, but it sounded pretty good to my ears. I think your ears are a little more finely attuned. I do have actual legitimate hearing loss in my right ear from years of drummers on my right side, as me
Mm,
on the bassist
I
smashing those chinas and hi hats into my fucking eardrum.
I have a
But
little bit of hearing loss due to the fact that my ears just put out so much wax to the point where I have to actually get it medically taken care of. So
Jesus,
yeah, it's awful. It's awful being me. It's not. It's actually pretty great to be me, but that's besides the point. I would say this really high quality pressing. Metallica's pressing plant does really well. I have most of my Metallica music on the Blackened label. My Metallica vinyl is primarily on the Blackened label, and I have never had a single complaint, and I don't have any on this one. This one might have been a little bit noisy. Yeah, that might have been just because it's a little bit dusty. So not as it's not as clean as I would like. So, but I will say we'll definitely call this a high quality, good sounding pressing. I did listen to mine on headphones so I could get the most immersive experience I could, even though the bass in my headphones is not as good as the bass in my speakers. But I also wanted to be able to listen to it in loud so I could hear everything. The I thought it was interesting how it was panned. James's vocals are panned to both channels. Lars's drums are panned on the left side, along with Kirk's guitar. Trujillo's bass is also panned on both sides, and James's guitar is panned to the right. And I don't know what kind of he was playing all acoustic on this one. I don't know what that guitar was, but holy hell, that is a great sounding guitar. That guitar is,
could be anything. I believe he's an endorsed Ovation guitarist.
is he? It wouldn't surprise me.
But they also have endorsements from Les Paul, Gibson, Les Paul, and Epiphone as well. And Hammett has been playing ESPs for a very long time.
So is Hetfield. Hetfield's been playing
So he has
ESP
one of his
since
ESPs for the
'88.
Load, yeah, before Load, before Black Album. Um, yeah, man. Sounded good. I enjoyed them. I do have some thoughts on each track, and
Let's
now,
start with the studio track.
right,
What I noticed most of all, and this is just my ear and what I listened for, Kirk's guitar solos were very different. If the photos on the inner sleeve are to be believed, and my ear says yes, he was using his 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard to play this one.
yep.
What the quality of that guitar also is, I mean, that's one of the greatest guitars literally on the planet, period. It's probably a top 20 sounding guitar in the world. Then couple that with, like James, putting a guitar in a extremely talented master's hands and you get just that sound. He also completely changed up the solos. The solos are not remotely the same things as he played on Injustice for All or plays live, which was interesting. I don't know how I would really describe it. It is definitely not that shreddy guitar style. It is definitely not his bluesier style when he wants to go that route. It was interesting. It was really cool, and it really fit the reimagining of this song.
And yes, I'm
And
glad you said the words reimagining because that's the first thing that came into my mind. So here's James getting his country yayas out, turning this
only
incredible thrash metal song.
only just
the chorus is extremely Nashville, dude. It's like
All right.
very his voice got a twang.
I didn't hear it. I
To
was listening for the
begin
twang. I didn't hear the
weapon
twang.
dance of the dead. That's what I heard. Like,
Mm,
I don't know about you.
mm.
I want to marry my horse. And
Ooh.
I heard a lot of that. And so, which I like. Here's a fun little factoid from Keefy history. I mentioned a few pods ago in the Robert series when I saw Metallica on a Thursday night and Page and Plant on a Friday, and the shows were night and day based on my enjoyment. And I walked out on Metallica's encore because they came out with acoustic guitars and were doing unplugged Metallica songs.
They
I
did
do not.
unplugged for Horsemen.
I didn't. That's when I walked out. I was like, and now I'm done. Not
And
forever. I'm done tonight. I don't want this incredible night to be ruined by an unplugged Four Horsemen. Now that was me in 1997 when I was like 25,
that was
20,
1999.
whatever, whatever
Sorry,
year it was.
I'm pedantic.
I walked out of the show, not
I
out of
should have
Metallica.
walked out because it would have saved me 3 hours in the parking lot.
That
And it
also.
also would have saved me the 7 minutes of that song, which was
We
not
yeah,
a
just
good
brutal.
song.
Just brutal way to end the show and not an enjoyable thing for me. Now that being said, I highly enjoyed this. I
Agreed,
shouldn't,
agreed.
but I do.
It wasn't
And
it wasn't riffy either.
it's not it's completely transformed from the track that it is in our hearts and minds to this new experience, which is what I think James and Lars clearly wanted a new, to how do we approach this thing, based on the limitations. Because also, like, let's also be honest, you could record yourself like everybody else does in their rooms. Like, Machine Head is on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and Twitch every week, jamming in their jam room
Mm-hmm.
at loud volumes, and it's fun. The fun is at 11. The quality, I wouldn't put that out, like, for release, because the quality is not high. So I think the unplugged thing served many levels. Serves them for the pandemic, serves them for a home recording, serves them in a way that the music is forgiving and high up to their standard of quality.
It also
um
worked really well for Roger Waters when his band redid Mother.
oh, that's cool. I'm not aware of that. That's very cool.
I only recently watched it finally, and it's
Oh,
actually maybe the best version of Mother you'll hear.
I will have to check that out. Does not include David Gilmour's guitar solo. I highly doubt it. That it's my favorite, but, like, I'll check it out.
On Mother?
Um, the guitar solo on Mother,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
I don't even remember. Okay, I don't remember it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it didn't stick for me.
But
But
yeah, so I
yeah,
I
so
I'm,
it's
I
not
really dug this beautifully, pristine recording. James, great singing. Like, despite my jokes about country, sang it well. Lars played very understated, hard for him to do. Let's face it.
and I
Um,
think in a nice tribute to Jason, the bass was turned way down.
I don't know. The bass could be louder, but Robert is kind of an overplayer. And to be fair,
Kind of.
the way you remember the bass line of Blackened live, like the Binge and Purge,
Mm-hmm.
when the bass is not turned down,
Mm-hmm.
the bass is more of a melding of the rhythm guitars and the bass together anyway. They overlap each other in the
Right.
sonic way. So, you know, Trujillo playing as a fingerstyle bassist, playing fingerstyle, you get a much more warm tone, and especially in this ballad form. There's no other way to say it. In a ballad form, you hear more bass in general, but also, like, he didn't overplay, unlike what I thought he would be, like noodling, or just extra music concrete things. You don't hear his fingers hit too hard on the pickups. Like, it's just perfectly delicate and well done.
Yes,
And it's
agreed.
it's kind of like a Nothing Else Matters country version of Blackened in a way, because it's the same
Now,
kind of aesthetics to me.
your ear is better for this than mine is. Was that back to E standard?
Um, I don't know. That's a
The
good
vocal
question.
melody sounded
A little.
more like, because once they went down to E flat, they started playing everything in E flat, which
And I think eventually they will play everything someday in D, because and C, because James's voice his range is, just I'm not 60, but like I can't do the things that I could do when I was half this age,
Correct.
and neither
So,
can he.
and Robert Plant, and when Led Zeppelin reformed, they played everything in D and not E flat, which is fine.
Led Zeppelin did never reform. You're thinking of Page Plant, but
No, I'm talking about Celebration Day.
oh yeah, sure, everything was D. Yeah, of course. How could it not be? There would be no way for him to hit those notes.
Correct.
But any case, really good on side A. Now I have
Yes.
many questions about side B and
Side B is there are things about All right,
so let's talk about the
flip
live.
it.
Yeah, they'll flip it over, and so the live Blackened, which again was recorded live in concert.
On Zoom.
Now on Zoom, yeah, but I mean like they were
Yeah.
performing live as opposed
Correct.
to. So just for context, Blackened 2020 was recorded individually and then made into a track by Metallica and Greg Fiddleman.
Correct.
Greg, the great Clipper Fiddleman. And so
He's no
from
Randy
Death Magnetic.
Razorblade.
From Death Magnetic. So Greg, the protege of Rick Rubin. So again, not live. The first
It is a legitimate studio recording.
Studio composition. Blackened 2020 live, that same version done live. I have questions.
Why was there banjo in the live version?
Why is there banjo? And how is there banjo if there's only 4 of them?
Correct.
How are there double tracked or triple tracked vocals when only James is listed as vocal singing?
Was wondering that.
I'd have to go back and see if Kirk and Robert are singing.
No, they're not,
because
they can't do that.
I only hear James, and I hear James at least double tracking, if not triple tracking himself.
I heard triples.
So that's fine. Metallica does not use backing tracks in the typical Metallica setting, and in this setting, to make the tracks kind of coalesce and sound like each other, I can see it.
Honestly, for the majority of Metallica's history, they've had really shitty backup singers. Because Jason has been out of the band for over 20 years. And in the first, 16, 17 years of the band, both Jason and Cliff could back up James well. And then Kirk would try to back him up on things like Nothing Else Matters, and he would just ruin it because he can't sing. He sings like me.
He can shout along. He can do a gang vocal. Robert has improved. I know somebody very well who hates Trujillo in Metallica, wishes every day something would happen where he's not the bassist anymore. I
just wish he wouldn't sing backups because his backups are awful. He's doing a pastiche of Jason's backup vocals.
So that's what's expected of him. But yeah, I understand. It's not his forte.
So I can understand why they would have, in this instance, on what is a bit of a pretty tune.
Right. But yeah, so they use a little bit of
cheating on that.
There's a little cheating on this one. However, that being said, it's pretty good.
I am still confused about the banjo.
Why? Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, there's definitely a solo James record coming someday. That's going to be all dulcimer, banjo, washboard, spurs on the ground, like it's coming.
So he's going to go straight up Robert Plant.
He's going to go straight up David Vincent of Morbid Angel and do a country record. He's not going to go He's going to go right past Americana into sort of this not good country.
That David Vincent album does not exist. You cannot convince me. You cannot make me hear it.
He loves that stuff. But anyway.
No, that's fine, but I don't want to hear him doing it.
In terms of a live track given on this, I'm not mad at it. I'll say that. You might be. I'm not.
I'm not mad. I do question. The only thing that I can say for certain that was live on that track and for 100% is Kirk's guitar.
It was performed like, I have to believe it's live. They performed it live, and I think they had the aid of extra tracks augmenting the performance.
The solo was very sloppy.
Well, that's Kirk live anyway. He's very sloppy.
Right. So I wouldn't say
I would say the last 3 or 4 times I've seen Metallica Lars was far less sloppy than Kirk, which is mind blowing.
That's unfortunate.
And also a
And
credit to Lars because he was excellent the
yes,
last bunch of
and
times I've seen him.
so the solo was sloppy. The vocals, there was nothing sour. I mean, they were perfection. So I wonder. I have questions about that. So is it bad? No. Is it necessary? No. It would have been cooler if it were a different song because the two versions, apart from the banjo, are pretty darn close.
They're very
Because,
close.
but I mean, that's Metallica. Metallica's
That's
live, even when they're drunk and even when they were drunk and crazy, it was still pretty tight.
very tight. Yeah.
So let's move on to the final track, which was a cover of Wood by Alice in Chains, originally released on the Singles soundtrack. Pretty damn good Alice in Chains tune, if I'm being honest.
One
And
of their best,
I'm not a big fan of that band.
shockingly.
I know. I
I'm an
don't know.
enormous fan of that band. They're in my top 5 ever.
You know,
Um,
we the Venn diagram and the music we listen to, it gets really different on the outsides.
right on, right on.
But what I loved about this, I mean, musically speaking, it was top notch. I mean, they crushed it. Vocally, oh, someone else should have sung it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say that, first of all, Lane has a singular voice and style, and very few
Correct.
people can come near him.
No one can do
Secondly,
that.
Wood is one of the hardest songs, difficulty level, super duper on Wood. Like, he literally uses all his powers,
Oh yeah.
falsetto that no one can touch, a deep, deep, resonant, low, bassy,
He
baritone
got
delivery.
that really growly, gruff, melodic scream.
Right.
The main hook. I mean that
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
that chorus is untouchable, and also like you know part of the magic of Alice in Chains is the two guys singing together, is
right,
Lane
agreed.
and Jerry singing in unison. It's not Jerry backing up Lane. They are singing unison lead lines in a lot of songs,
Correct.
including the verses of Wood. And then Lane kind of tears it off for the chorus and the outro. And so, you know, so this is a different approach. It's an unplugged take on a metal song, unabashedly metal, one of the most metal songs Alice in Chains ever had, and despite how tuneful it is and how great the vocals are, and James is carrying it by himself. It's not necessarily a tune designed for him to succeed at vocally. That being said, I think James made really smart choices with his singing, where he wasn't trying to imitate Lane. Good. He wasn't trying to copy Lane note for note, especially some of the high range stuff that James cannot hit. Really smart.
Mm-hmm.
It almost sounded like I listened to it twice. So actually, I think Wood is the best track on here, and
I
I listened to
agree.
it twice,
Actually, it's really
and
good.
it's really, really, it's pretty great actually.
It
I
could have had a better vocal performance.
I
That's
think Kurt is actually playing Jerry's vocal lines on guitar during the
ooh,
verses. Go back and listen to it, and Kirk is playing sort of James is doing sort of a
mm-hmm.
jangly Django
Yeah,
version of the verse, and instead of playing the second guitar part that's part of the song that Jerry plays throughout, these harmonized guitar parts, he's actually doing Jerry's vocal lines slightly,
could
like
be,
he's
could be
covering this the space. Neither Robert or Kirk should attempt to sing backup on this song, so good job.
correct.
And considering that this drum part is also Sean Kinney is one of the most unique and specialized drummers in the world. He did all these incredible Middle Eastern and Indian beats on the drums across all Alice in Chains stuff. A little bit on the first record, Facelift, a lot on Dirt and the self-titled record, and less so now. But Lars also did not try to necessarily play the exact same beat for beat Sean Kinney parts, but he
It
held
was
down.
another reimagining, and
Yeah,
I think they reimagined it very well. There were just a few sour bits out of James's mouth, which it's gonna
again,
happen. It's
hard to
gonna happen.
do.
Right?
Hard to do.
No,
Would have been kind of novel and cool, to have Jerry on the track with them, because Jerry then could have done his parts and
Ooh,
also
and they have recorded together.
played the solo. I mean, they've recorded together, they're buddies,
Hmm.
they've toured together.
Hmm.
Um, I wouldn't be
But
surprised when Metallica does a proper headline tour that Jerry's solo band ends up becoming an opener for them, or Alice in
again,
Chains would be or Alice in Chains would be a very worthy
agreed.
opener for Metallica. Chains is heading back on tour this summer. Metallica, I imagine, will finally get to do a full-fledged tour instead of these little one-off things
Hmm.
this summer, and because they're doing a European festival circuit, so next fall or the year after. So very excellent to me, almost pretty much an excellent cover, despite a couple of things, and definitely the to me worth having this for just for that.
I agree, and I think let's wrap this up a little bit because
Yeah, yeah,
we could go all night if we don't.
we're going long, and we
And
got another one of these to do tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Back to the regular series.
my complaint is still I didn't need two versions of Blackened. Either one
Yeah,
of them would have been fine. Something else would have been cool. And but for the first one of the year, got a slip mat, got really good packaging, a really neat rendition of the cover art. This is definitely a good start for 2022 for me.
let me ask you one last question because I want to get this in. What is the value of having this at 45
From what
instead
I
of 33?
understand, 45 has better sound. I
Okay.
don't know if that's true, but that is what people say.
Listeners out there, if any of you know, I know we're supposed to be the experts, but really we're just learning as we go, and you are much more of an expert than I. If anyone out there, in the sound of our voice or watching this on the Glacially Musical YouTube, please, if you have some feedback on this, or maybe we'll put this up on Twitter with the feedback, a poll, maybe. If you have some idea about this, let us know, because honestly, I didn't need this as a 45 speed. Why is this why are you making me adjust my turntable to listen to it? Annoying. But I'm also
Oh, does yours have the one
but
where you got to pull the
I have
you got to
to
pull?
pull the band and adjust everything. It's the U. I have the
Oh,
U-turn audio. I love it, but it is a hindrance when it comes to switch.
mine
I
is just a
cannot
button.
quickly switch. You have a button. That's what I
It's
asked earlier. I cannot quickly switch between speeds. I have a whole to do, so it took me a few minutes, and then I listened to it, and then I went and downloaded it and listened to Wood one more time here, which is when you saw me come back on the video. I'm
gotcha.
gonna say that so far I have definitely got my money's worth for this very first one. We'll see in future months how that goes. I
Correct. We
imagine
will.
this is late March, so I think we got this ahead of schedule, in my opinion.
No, that was the schedule they were shooting for. We got
So
it
we're
on
gonna say
time.
late June for the next one, or
Late
yeah,
June.
June-ish. So we'll see in June what the June one is. They have set the bar very high on the packaging and the good cover, and I don't hate the black in 2020. Younger me might have. So that's my final word
Same.
on this.
I completely agree. This is the music of an elder band, kind of living through their elder. They're living the elder statesman life that when you look back at Metallica, they've always talked about we wanted to live the excess. We wanted to be the metal band. We wanted to do this. We wanted to do that. And now they're in the next phase of their career. And frankly, they could be. We're entering endgame for Metallica. So
I don't want to think about it. I do feel like they have. We discussed this on the Metallica pod. I feel like they can do 10 more years and make it to 50.
we'll see.
I
It's
feel like it if they want to. If they want to, they can get 2 more albums and a
if
lot
it
more touring.
if it is 10 more years, we're still talking about the last 20% of the career.
That's true.
So I'm gonna stick with my point. We are probably in the end game for Metallica. We will be lucky to get, if it goes 10 more years, we'll be lucky to get two more records. And frankly, that's a big part of why I did this, because I want to get everything that's coming out going forward. This is a truly, they will go
Even
down in,
even a deluxe Lulu.
oh God, I would love that.
Horrible. I hope there's no extra tracks. Anyway, take us home, Nick.
So this is a great start to the 2022 Metallica Vinyl Subscription Club. I am rather pleased with what happened with what's going on so far. It is two of the same song, but then we got a bonus cover as well. So kind of makes up for that in my opinion. But so far, not bad. I am excited for what's coming next. This for Keefy Chakas. This is Nik Cameron. This has been the Glacially Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria.